Hiya and welcome to the Q&A. I am super excited for this video because unlike the other videos where I'm just sitting down and trying to put things out into the universe, not even knowing if anyone's going to listen to them, in this case everything has actually been asked of me to start with, which makes it very, very fun. And also I get to indulge, which is one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, with no further ado, let's just get started with the questions you've asked. Thank you so much to everyone who has sent something in. Honestly, they're really funny all the time, I feel. Let's get started. So the first question I picked out because it is one that I got asked so much, and it is if I have any plans for this year. And I think this is along the back of the fact that I left medical school and what I'm going to do with this gap year in between. And the thing is, I don't actually have any plans at all for this year because this gap year was very spontaneous. I'm still getting emails on my phone because I'm still on all the kind of mailing lists of going to hospital and starting placement, which is slightly heartbreaking. But yeah, it was very spontaneous, so I don't have anything in place yet. And I'm still very much, I just got the internet connected in this house today. So yes, I'm very much kind of in a bit of a hectic situation and I have no plans yet. But when I do, I'm sure to kind of let you guys know. So yeah, the second question got asked quite a bit is, do I sing? Oh my lord. The straightforward answer to that is yes, I do sing. But that is mostly because I live on my own and I just love music and songs so much. So I do sing most of the day when I'm alone by myself, but I don't professionally sing and I will not sing in front of other people unless I want to punish them, because I don't think I have a good kind of singing voice and I'm semi-tone deaf, I think, but I just love singing. Like I sing professionally in the shower, let's say that. So if you won the lottery, would you still do medicine? This is a very easy answer. It's an absolute definite yes. And kind of to give a bit more context around this, I think I realized quite early on when I started medicine that actually this was not the only career I could do for money. So I could be an artist, or I could be a painter, or a medical illustrator, or a teacher, or kind of work in management, or all these other things that I was doing even before I started YouTube could have turned potentially into full-time jobs for me because I actually enjoy all of those things. I think I had to kind of come to terms with this question quite early on when I realized that, oh, okay, I mean, I could be a full-time philosopher. This is a legitimate career path that I could take if I wanted to. And I think it very early on made me kind of make that decision, which was very clear that I love medicine. And as far as working goes and jobs go, I don't think I would be able to do anything else in the way that I do medicine, if that makes sense. So as far as jobs go, I think I would definitely do medicine. So if it were down to money, I could make just as much money or a lot more doing other things. So the reason I did medicine in the first place and want to do medicine is definitely not money related. So I don't think that winning a lottery would make that big of a difference. I would just probably have a nicer apartment to stay after work. But yeah, I don't think I would leave medicine for that. The next question was quite a popular one. What is my height? And I get this because online, I guess there's no real kind of measurement of how tall people are. And I'm actually quite short. I think most people, when they meet me for the first time, think that I'm shorter than I seem for some reason. So I'm 163 or 6'3". I think that's 6'3". Let me check. In feet. 5'3". Oh my god, 6'3". What am I on about? Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, no. So I'm 163 centimeters or 5'3" tall. So I'm quite short. Yeah. So. That's my height. Next question, do I have any phobias? Yes, I do. When I was younger, I had a crippling phobia of birds, which I still am scared of birds, but it's not crippling anymore, if that makes sense. So especially chickens, like I could never be voluntarily in the presence of a chicken or touch birds in general. They just really, really, really creep me out. And I always get asked, like, what about little chicks? Like, would you not want to touch them? And my answer is absolutely no. They just look so, so scary to me. Like they have beaks and like black beady eyes, and they have no pupils, and you can't see like what they're seeing, and they just move their heads so abruptly. I find them extremely, extremely creepy. So yeah, I think birds are my phobia. Did you find doing the ex-assistant collab with Ali awkward? It was hard to watch. Yes, it was even harder to film. Yes, I did find it quite awkward, or actually extremely awkward. And I honestly don't know why that was the situation. I mean, we've had so many conversations over like years now, so I don't know why it was so awkward to film on camera. So I think it was a fun experience overall. There was like a lot of people in the room, so it was really funny. But I did find it also extremely, extremely awkward. And yeah, I think it was actually the most uncomfortable I've been on the internet before, which is quite bizarre. But yeah, I think we just need to lean into it a bit more and kind of get used to talking together on the camera, because I genuinely do not understand why that was so uncomfortable. So yeah, I did find it awkward. The next question is actually really sweet, and I want to give a huge thanks to everyone who asked this, because there were so many of you who asked me, how are you really doing? And I've seen a lot of Q&A questions being asked to people before in the background, and I don't often see that question even towards other people. So it's really sweet, and I feel honestly so grateful that there are people out there who ask these super kind things. So thank you. And the answer to that is I'm actually doing quite well. I feel a lot better and a lot more kind of relaxed, even though I haven't technically stopped anything. But I just think knowing that I won't have to study immediately in a few weeks means that mentally I'm at a lot more peace. So yes, I'm actually doing quite well. I'm excited for this year, and I'm definitely very excited for next year. So yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. Did you ever take philosophy classes at uni? If so, how was your experience? Yes, I did. So there's this other degree that you can do at King's, which I just finished last year. So it's a 3-year degree, and it's called the Associateship of King's College. And what you basically do is you study things like theology, philosophy, history, politics, things like that. And it's so cool. Like, the lectures were amazing. And on top of that, I actually am doing this year a philosophy of medicine degree. And yeah, I'm actually the medical student representative on the national committee there, so it's extremely cool. And yes, I love philosophy. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I think it's absolutely incredible. My experience with it has always been deeply positive. It's so fun. It's like mental exercise and mental entertainment at the same time at the highest level for me. So I find it really exciting to kind of question things and be questioned about things, and kind of just delve deeper and deeper into our beliefs and what we're thinking and how the world works. And I just find it to be one of the most interesting things out there. My only issue with philosophy is that I really struggle with names and words in general. So I can almost never remember the names of the philosophers or the philosophical theories, which makes exam taking in philosophy so difficult for me. But apart from that, 10 out of 10. If you're considering doing philosophy classes, I would definitely take them up. They are so much fun. Oh, the next question is advice for up-and-coming YouTubers in the study productivity niche. In the best way possible, I would say don't copy other people. And the reason for that is, this sounds terrible, but if I were to copy another like great YouTuber, if I were to just, copy Matt D'Avella's video and do the same thing, I don't think anyone would want to watch the cheaper version of Matt D'Avella, because they can just go and watch the actual version of Matt D'Avella doing his thing like a million times better, with so much better gear and so much more experience and a much better personality, being completely authentic, doing what he likes to do, rather than my cheap knockoff version of that. So I would say, I think embracing what comes naturally to you and what you like to do, and kind of, I think, sometimes trying to not find YouTube ideas on YouTube is a good thing, and trying to come up with them yourselves and leaning into yourself. I think you're going to build a community of people who appreciate you for what you are and kind of like the things that you are talking about. So I know that it's kind of a growth hacking strategy to see what is successful, but I think there's much more value in doing your own thing, because there's a million people doing what works. But yeah, if you want to kind of, I think, grow a better community and enjoy it much more, just do exactly what you feel like doing rather than what is successful for other people, is what I would recommend. The next question is, how do you overcome your laziness? I do not overcome my laziness. I love my laziness and I kind of work with it. So I know, for example, in the mornings, I am quite lazy because I'm not a morning person. So when I wake up in the mornings, I know that it's a lot easier for me to kind of take things slow and appreciate the moment and listen to some good music or a podcast or an audiobook and have like a slow breakfast when I can afford it, and just kind of like call my family or relax and do nothing or meditate. So I'm working with my laziness, because if I don't feel like working, there is no point in doing it, because I know in my mind that in the afternoon or the evening, I'm just going to be much more likely to get a lot done and actually want to do that thing. So if I can't afford to kind of work when I want to, I will just be lazy when I want to be lazy. And then when I'm in an environment where I can't afford that, like for example, if I'm in hospital at 7 a.m, I'm still going to be super energetic and not lazy because I'm in a different environment. So in my home environment, or environments where I'm likely to be lazy, I just work with it and get it out of my system. And then I know that at some point I'm going to want to start working anyway. So that's just my technique. I don't know if that helps. Have you started missing medicine? Yes, so much, so much, especially because I kind of applied for the deferral so late. It meant that I'm still on all the mailing list. So I got like 4 or 5 emails today with a link to a WhatsApp group for my hospital in Kent where I was supposed to be, and kind of a link to apply for university accommodation because yes, the hospital is outside of London. And I was at the hairdressers today. I cut off a lot of my hair and they asked me what do I do, and I just didn't know what to say. And I think just anything that prompts me to start thinking about medicine and being in hospital just really makes me miss it so much. So yes, I am incredibly missing medicine right now, but I still stick to the fact that this was the best decision to make. But yes, I do miss being in hospital a lot. The next question is quite a deep one. What is success according to you? I think I would need to make a series of videos to kind of get my thoughts out there on this thing because it's super complicated. But basically, I think the easiest way to describe it is that I think that there is actually poor correlation between achievements and the experience of one's success. So, for example, there might be people who on the surface look as though they have everything, like they're super rich and famous and have beautiful families, and then they still kind of end up committing suicide or doing things or just not feeling well. So I think what we often associate with success, which is like money and prestige and happiness, I guess, but those kind of things not very often are actually related to success in itself. So I think personally for me, just being comfortable with myself, being happy with what I'm doing, and knowing that I can be surrounded with people that I love when I want to is my definition of success. And whenever I'm in that state, I feel as though I'm like as happy as I could ever be. This is of course meeting their basic needs. So if I'm stressed about rent or like work or making any sort of money, or sometimes even like the money to like have food, then in that case obviously money plays a huge factor. But things that don't play a huge factor anymore for me are kind of like academic achievements or professional achievements, or things that I own or have, because beyond the bare necessities, I don't think any of that matters. So success for me is being comfortable with myself and having people that I love around me. So yeah. What piece of advice would you give to your 15-year-old self? If I'm completely honest, I would tell my 15-year-old self that you are not as ugly as you think you are. And yeah, I think if I could make myself at 15 believe that, my life would be very different now. So yeah. What are your thoughts on the zero note-taking method of medical school? It's brilliant. I did not take any notes in my 3rd year of medical school and I did very well in exams. And I think in clinical medicine, I completely stopped taking notes at all. So yeah, I think it's 10 out of 10, absolutely brilliant. In preclinical medicine, I think note-taking kind of helps, but in clinical medicine, it was a no for me. Next, what is the best thing about medicine? Moments when I'm sitting down alone with a patient and talking to them is my favorite moment with a patient. Just being in any sort of conversation with a patient, I think, is my favorite moment in medicine. Do I recommend doing YouTube? Yes. It's a very general question. I think if someone would ask me that directly, I would kind of ask them a lot of questions before I could kind of say what I thought, which again, it's a very difficult question. It depends on the person, it depends on the stage in their life, it depends on what they want, it depends on the reasons for which they're doing YouTube in general, it depends on kind of their mental health and how they deal with things, and there's a lot of factors that go into doing or not doing YouTube. But in general, I think it is a great space to be yourself. It's a great space to have some creative flexibility. It's a great space to just grow and have fun. And I think it's just so great that I could literally put out a video on anything that I wanted. And just the thought that I could do that and the challenge sometimes of doing that week on week is so much fun for me. So I think it's absolutely incredible. I think, yeah, life's too short and you want to create things and do things, and an amazing way to grow is to just do YouTube, I think. So I would recommend it, definitely. Best and worst experiences of medical school. I think the best one was dissection in 1st year, and the reason for that is because I was so fresh into medicine in general, and I was so nervous at the time that, oh my god, what if I'm actually squeamish, and what if I'm, not good at using my hands to do stuff, because I really wanted to be a surgeon at the time. And I think in dissection, I was just surrounded by my friends who were really like not keen on touching the bodies, and I was super keen on doing the dissecting. So I got to go there so much and do so much, and I just loved it. I love anatomy, I love the human body, and that was so much fun. I think the worst part of medical school was lying in bed doing online lectures for weeks on end. I don't have the attention span to do that. I was literally just like listening to sometimes my professors like drone on trying to listen to trying to listen to my professors like drone on for like hours on end about calcium channel blockers. I couldn't focus. It was not fun for me at all. I think that part of medical school was extremely dry and not exciting. Next, what is your next project going to be? I would like to kind of fully embrace my nerdiness in note-taking and Notion systems, and potentially create a course for creators with note-taking in Notion. The reason I'm worried about this is that it is so niche and so nerdy that it would be applicable only to a small amount of creators online that would be willing to put in the work and are as geeky as I am. So if I find those people and I create that course, I think I will have so much fun. But that's just like a crazy dream of mine. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. So realistically, my next project is learning to bake. I've never baked anything before, so I really want to learn to bake like something sweet. Next question is, how did you get the courage to take a gap year from medical school? Oh my, this was so difficult. I think what helped me was kind of realizing that life is so long, and 30 years down the line, if and when I'm a doctor, I don't think taking a few months out of, my training path will really matter, or will be something that I will realize or care for at all. I think at that point, it'll feel like nothing. I'll completely forgotten that I did this. While at the moment, I think that I'm much better in like that black and white state of being in medicine or not being in medicine at all, because there were many times last year where I was really not okay, but I never applied for a pause, or I never applied to kind of have some more time to send in my projects and things, and I would just try to do everything on time and do everything perfectly. And I think that was just such a bad attitude to have. So knowing that I have those tendencies, I think taking this break and this whole separation right now will just make things a lot easier for me. And hopefully things will be back to normal again next year, and they will be fine. But I think the courage was in realizing in the long term, it really, 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 really doesn't matter. And there is absolutely no rush for me to kind of, graduate and just get on the treadmill. I think it's more about my life, and medicine is part of that, rather than medicine being my whole life and me kind of painfully trying to fit myself into something that was just not working at the time. So I think that kind of shift in mindset is what helped me take a year out. Would you ever think of coming to the US? I've never been to the US before, and in terms of visiting, yes, I would love to. I dream of the day that I will be able to go to New York for Christmas. I don't know why, I just have this fantasy in my mind that it is the best place on earth to be for Christmas. So hopefully I'll get to do that one day. But in terms of living, I'm not too sure. Definitely not like the whole USMLE path thing of transferring. I don't think I genuinely do love the NHS and the system of hospitals in the UK. So I don't think I would want to practice medicine necessarily long term anywhere else. But to visit, definitely, for sure. I hope I'll get to soon. Are you now an anti-hero of productivity? No, I don't think so. I think I just have strong opinions on both sides for almost everything. And strong opinions in the middle. I think I just talk about what I like to talk about, and often that ends up being like quite extreme to the things that I've seen mentioned. And I think it has been challenging for me to kind of get the courage and like say things like that. And I know that they always get a bit more dislikes, but I think that, it's now on my banner. So strong opinions loosely held. I do feel as though I have like strong opinions that sit on both sides for most things. And I have like very specific ways that I feel about things that have like all extremes in them, but I'm also very easy in terms of, being convinced otherwise and that I'm wrong, which I am all the time. So I feel as though I just capture how I feel at the moment about something whenever it makes me slightly passionate about it. And for a few times it has been productivity, because I do love productivity. But I just really, really dislike some aspects of productivity online, if that makes sense. So I love productivity, but I love enjoying life and self-acceptance more, and especially the lack of kind of comparison, which I feel like productivity has a bit of, and social media has a lot of in general. So I feel as though if I could just be a bit more clear about the things that I feel, I think that is what sometimes puts me in that bracket of anti-productivity hero things. So I guess in some ways some videos would fall under that category, but I don't think that's the general theme of my channel or myself. So the next question: does staying off social media not damage your YouTube progress? it does probably. Yeah, I do think it does, but in all honesty, I don't really care. I think I do want this channel obviously to do well and to grow, but the most important thing to me is myself and my happiness in a way. Oh, that sounded awful, but in a good way. It's much more important for me to kind of be happy and than to have like more YouTube subscribers. So yeah, maybe it'll grow slower or it won't grow as big as it could have, but it's much better for me at the moment to not be on social media. So yeah, I don't agree with it. Unless it changes or unless I find a way to approach it differently, then I don't care that I'm losing subscribers for it. Do you struggle with comparison? How do you deal with it? Oh, this is a very deep question. How long can I answer this for? I would say at the moment, I do not struggle with comparison actually. And this has been such a long road for me to go down because I've definitely struggled with comparison so much in the past. But I think I've realized that whenever I've had those issues in the past, it has been 100% because of my insecurities in myself rather than the objective reality of what exists in the world and what people are like. And it has taken a lot of work on my end to kind of organize my thoughts and the way that I feel about myself. But I genuinely feel as though right now I'm in a position wherein I'm super happy to kind of celebrate other people's wins and the great things that are happening in the world without necessarily making it about myself and what I'm potentially not doing, not achieving, what I don't have, or what I'm not myself. So I feel as though for most things right now, I'm in a position wherein I can just like appreciate beauty in things and love things for what they are and not involve myself in it. So yes, I think it's been extremely, extremely liberating. It especially has made my experience of medical school so much easier. And I think YouTube has helped with this a lot too, because I think if you don't stop comparing yourself once you start like social media professionally or once you start YouTube seriously, then I think the whole thing would have been so terrible. And YouTube is like the funnest thing in the world for me because I think I don't compare myself almost at all. So yeah, and I think I've kind of applied those same principles to the rest of my life and it's had the best effects ever. Again, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of self-reflection, but I think if admitting to yourself in the first instance that it's perhaps your own insecurity that's making you feel bad compared to someone else rather than something that they've done, especially if you don't know that person or they're not involved with you, then yeah, I think it's working with yourself which will give the best results in the end of the day. So yeah. The next question, are Apple products really that good or is it just the hype? Oh, great question. I love Apple products. I've always loved them since I could not afford them, which I couldn't do for a very, very long time. I think it really, really, really depends. If you do have the money and you're looking for kind of electronic devices and you're not into kind of customizing them that much, you just want something that works well, is efficient, is fast, then Apple products are absolutely brilliant if you can afford them. If you cannot afford them, I'm not sure they're necessarily worth like saving up for or definitely not loaning for or anything like that. So I'm very cautious with these recommendations. If you're a student and you don't have the budget, don't get it. Like it's fine. You can use anything else. It's not the device really, it's how you use it and how much you want to work with it and what you do with it. So yeah, they're great. They work really, really well. And because fortunately I can afford them right now, they're wonderful. I would keep buying them again and again. But if I didn't have the money, then no, I wouldn't kind of save up for them or yeah, do anything else. So depends on what your budget is in the end of the day. So yeah, I hope that helps with it. Next question, how do I edit my videos? Using Final Cut Pro. I watched Ali's course on Final Cut Pro and just learned from there really. And yeah, and just, I try to have fun with it. So I love, love, love video editing. So it's my favorite part, I think. One of my favorite parts of the whole video creation process. When will the first episode of Feelosophy come out? I haven't filmed anything yet and I think I'm slightly overthinking it and I've been really, really busy, which is a terrible excuse. I think I'm overthinking it. So yeah, let's commit to this. I think maybe tomorrow I'm going to film a first episode and try and create the worst first episode of a podcast you have ever heard before, but I'll have one out hopefully soon. So yeah, that'll probably happen. The next question, and I think I'm going to wrap it up with this one because it has actually been almost half an hour, which is a very long time. How has YouTube changed you? I think one of the ways, a huge way that YouTube has changed me is in that I genuinely don't care what people think about me anymore. And this is huge for me. This is so, so, so huge for me as a person and for my behavior my whole life. It is so, so big. So, and I think that's quite interesting because I always thought that social media would make people so self-obsessed, and I thought that it would turn me into someone who just really cares about how others see me and what others think of me, and just me all the time. And although, I mean, I do think about myself a lot, and like what I'm going to eat and what I'm going to do and how I'm spending my time and all of that. I guess most of my thoughts in my head are about myself and my work, but I don't think I actually care about what people think about me. And I think it's just the process of like finding it so embarrassing to put myself out there, and finding it so humiliating to like say what I really think about really random stuff like my paintings and what they mean to me. It's just, it feels so random and embarrassing in a way that you just do it enough times and you get enough negative comments said about you and to you, and you get enough negative like DMs and things to realize that actually then it literally starts bouncing off. And I realized that it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't matter to me at all. So I think it's just kind of made me feel a lot more comfortable with who I am. I wouldn't necessarily call it validation, but I think it was realizations that this thing just really doesn't matter, and me being myself actually feels so much better than anything else. So I think that's what YouTube has given me. But yeah, thank you. I think I'm going to stop there because otherwise this video will go on and on and on. And yes, I think thank you so much if you posted a question, and sorry if I did not get to your question and you actually asked me one. Unfortunately, there was hundreds and hundreds, so I couldn't answer them all. But yes, I had so much fun. Thank you. I hope this was not too rambly. And yeah, as always, thank you so much if you spent this time with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be kind to yourself and others, and don't believe everything you think. Thanks. Bye.